So this is what we were doing yesterday whenever we were just counting atoms, and we've done it before. And you're going to see why it becomes important, because today we're going to balance equations. That's what we'll be working on today and tomorrow. And then remember, on Thursday, y'all have a quiz over just balancing equations. So if I look at this one, I don't know what work. Maybe, maybe not. Having my little joy seems y'all get to this classroom. Gets to be the lucky one. All right. So this is aluminum carbonate, and this coefficient, the 2, applies to everything that's behind it. And when we balance equations, that's what we're going to be using, is the coefficients to get them balanced. So if you look at this one, I have 3 elements: aluminum, carbon, and oxygen. So for my aluminum, I'm going to do my subscript times my coefficient. So I would have how many aluminum? 4. And then for my carbon, 3. And then I have to do my 3 times this 2 to give me 6. That's what we added yesterday, higher those coefficients. So like you said, we had 3 within the formula, and then you have to come and multiply it by 2. That's what we did yesterday. And then this one, oxygen, how many am I going to have? 18, because I'm going to have 3 times 3 is 9, and then 9 times 2 would be 18. So that's how many atoms I have of each one of those. And that's what we're going to be doing as we start to work on our balancing equations. All right, so if you will start off by looking at the worksheet that we did just the front of yesterday. We're going to do some examples. So we got 2 different worksheets we're going to be working on today. So we did the front page of this one. And now we're going to go to the actual balancing. And that's what we're going to look at today. Let's see if I can make this a little larger. All right, so when you balance equations, you want to have the same number of atoms on each side. So the first thing that you've got to do is take a little inventory of exactly what you've got. So I kind of set up this system, and on here you have it set up. On the next page, you'll have to set it up yourself. So you kind of just separate, and I've got all of these. And this should be reactants on all of these. I did it wrong. I just didn't see that until today. Reactants come first, and products come second. So pretend like I did that on each one of them. Instead, I switched them. So to start off with, how many Hg do I have on my reactant side before the arrow? Just 1, right? And how many oxygen do I have?
1.
Just 1. Now I'm going to go to my product side. I'm going to do the same thing.
1.
1 and
2.
2. Perfect. So when it's balanced, we would have these be equal. This would say 1 and 1, and this would, oxygen would say the same thing. But as you can see, it's not. So I have to look at the one that is not balanced. That's my oxygen. This side has 2. This one only has 1. So you have to think, what do I multiply 1 by to get 2? 2. So that means I have to give this a coefficient of 2. And remember that 2 is going to affect the compound behind it. So it changed my oxygen to 2 like I wanted it to, but it also changed what else? That Hg, right? Now instead of 1, I have 2. So now what I need to do, let me erase this because I don't need all that. I need to go back and fix that. So now my oxygens are good, but now I have 2 mercury here and only 1 here. So what kind of coefficient do I need to put here in front of this mercury to get it balanced? A 2. And now finally I have 2, 2, 2, 2. So originally it was not balanced, but now we have it balanced. And that's usually how it works when you balance equations. You get one thing fixed and it messes it up, and then you got to go back to the other side and see what you need to do to fix it. So you're kind of going back and forth, back and forth. Okay, well, let's do our same thing here. We're going to start off and we're going to see how many we have of everything in front of the arrow. So for my carbon, I have 1, my hydrogen 3, and my oxygen 2. And then here on my product side behind the arrow, how many carbon do I have? 1. Hydrogen, I have 2, and oxygen 3, because I have 2 here and another one here. So I have 3. So because that oxygen is in 2 places on the product side, it makes it a little bit harder. So I'm going to leave that to the very end and kind of hope it works itself out. So right now my carbons look good, but my hydrogens, I have 3 on one side and 2 on the other. So obviously they're not even. When you have 3 and 2, what's going to be the lowest number both of that can go into? What's the smallest number that 3 and 2 can go into?
1.
1 can go into them, but they can't go into 1.
0.
6, right? Yeah, 6. So I'm going to have to try to get 6 hydrogen on each side. Anytime you have 3 and 2, you're going to end up trying to get 6. So I'm going to come to this side first. What do I need to multiply by 3? 2. So I put 2 in front of my compound that has the hydrogen. So now that changed my hydrogen to 6. 3 times 2, like I wanted it to. But it also changed my carbon to how many now? 2. So let me go ahead. I was working toward getting my hydrogen to 6. So let's come back on this side and do that. I have 2 hydrogen. So what coefficient do I need to put to get that to 6? 3. 3 times 2, that's going to change to 6. And now let's see how many oxygen we have. I have 2 here. And I have another 3 here, right? For a total of 5. All right, so let's go back up to this carbon. I have 2 carbon here, but only 1 here. So what kind of coefficient do I need to put to change that to 2? What coefficient do I need to put right here so I'll end up with 2 carbon? 2. So if I put that here, now I have 2 carbon. Now let's see how many oxygen we have. 2 times 2 is 4, plus another 3 here for a total of 7. So the problem with this one is it's an odd number. And that's making it hard because this is the only place I have oxygen. There's nothing I can put as a coefficient to give me an odd number, right? Because it has to multiply by 2. So a little trick is when you get stuck with an odd number, if you go back and multiply all your coefficients by 2. So 2 times 2 would change this to 4. 1 times 2 would change this to 2. 2 times 2, I'm going to change this to 4. Gentlemen, y'all sit up. Gadian and Jesus, wake up, sit up. We're doing this for quite a while. It's not something you can sleep through. And this one's hard. We'll come back to an easier one. 3 times 2 is 6. So let's regroup and see what we got after all that mess. All right. How many carbon do I have now? 4. Hydrogen, 4 times 3, 12. Oxygen, 2 times 2, 4. Over here, how many carbon do I have? 4. Hydrogen, 6 times 2, 12. And finally, oxygen that's causing all the problems. I have 4 times 2, 8, and then another 6 here, right, from the water, for a total of 14. So what do I need to do? I don't need a 2 right here. What do I need right here instead of a 2 so I can get 14 oxygen? A 7, exactly. Because 7 times 2 will give me my 14. And now I have 14 oxygen on each side. That was a hard one, okay, y'all? Most of them are not that hard. That one was kind of a little bit of a tricky one. Let's look at some more that are not quite that bad. All right, on virtual, I was telling them here that number 14 was a tricky one. We're going to go to some other ones that are not going to be quite that bad. All right, let's see if we can do a little bit easier with 15 and 16. All right, let's start with 15. Start off, tally. 1 phosphorus, 2 oxygen, right? Is everybody good with how I got those numbers? No, you said no, Jose? I mean, Jesus. No? Look, on this here, on this side, I'm looking at what I have here. So I only had 1 phosphorus and 2 oxygen because of the subscripts. Now I'm going to go to my other side and see how many I have. Since there's a 4, I'm going to have 4 phosphorus and 10 oxygen. Okay. So all that is just at the beginning. So no, this equation is not balanced. If it was balanced, all of that would be equal to each other. All right, so let's just start working away and see what we got. On my phosphorus, I have 4 on this side and only 1 on this side. So what do I need to put in front of my phosphorus so I'll end up making those equal? A 4. So I'm going to put a coefficient of 4, and that'll change it to 4. That 4 only affected that P. It didn't affect that oxygen. So now my phosphorus looks good. I have 10 oxygen and only here I have 2. So what coefficient do I need to put in front of my oxygen? A 5. 5 times 2 would give me 10. Now they're equal. So now my equation is balanced. So that was a lot better than that other one. Y'all ready to give one a try? All right, why don't y'all take a minute and try number 16. Start off with what you have and then see what coefficients you need to change it to. Perfect. So right now magnesium looks like it's balanced, right? Because they're at one on each side. But look, the oxygen's off. I have 2 here and only 1 here.
So I got us to chop out 1, right?
You got, well, I need them to be equal. So what coefficient would I put in front of this so that I would end up having 2 oxygen?
+1.
Well, if I put a 1, then that just means I'm still going to only have 1 magnesium and 1 oxygen. I need 2.
Oh, like 2 right there?
Yes, I want to have 2 right there. So what coefficient do I need to put here?
Plus
A 2, right?
2 for?
Because if I put a 2, now I have 2 magnesium, right? Because this 2 is going to change both of these. I have 2 magnesium. And now I also have 2 oxygen, which was what I was trying to fix.
But how I got 2 oxygen?
Because this oxygen right here, I only had 1. And when I put a coefficient of 2, 1 times 2 gives me 2. Okay, so now look, we changed it. Look, now I have 2 magnesium.
Yes. Now it's 4.
It's 2 magnesium right here. Because remember, even though we don't write them, there's subscripts of 1. So 1 times 2 gives me my 2. So now look, my oxygen 2, 2, that's good. But now I have 2 magnesium here and only 1 here. So what do I need to put in front of there?
2.
2. And now everything is balanced. 2, 2, 2, 2.
That's it.
And that's it. This was a hard one.
That's
Number
balanced.
14 was hard.
And it's balanced, right?
And that's balanced. All right, let's do that one real quick. Oops. All right, so to start off with, I had 1 and 2. And on this side, I had 1 and 1. And so my magnesiums look good, but my oxygen, I had 2 over here and 1 over here. So it was not balanced. I'm going to go to my smaller side, which is over here. I only have 1 and I want 2. So what do I multiply 1 by to get 2? 2. So that 2 goes here. So it's going to change my oxygen like I wanted it to, but it also changed my magnesium. Instead of 1 magnesium, now I have 2. But that's easy. If I have 2 here, I'm going to come back over here where I have 1. And what coefficient do I need to put in front of it? A 2. So now instead of 1 magnesium, I have 2. So it's balanced. This 2 right here has to go in front of the compound. So in other words, we were trying to get the oxygen to have 2. It would have been nice if I could have slid that 2 in between to only change the oxygen, but you can't do that. You got to put it in front of the whole compound. All right, why don't y'all give number 17 and 19 a try? Same thing, start off with your tally, try number 17 and number 19. See if you can get them balanced. Jesus, try number 17 and 19, please, sir. I don't see anything in the chat. My virtual students, y'all have any questions? No? Okay. Now you get back there. Good. If you've got all these, you can start on that the other worksheet's just balancing too. It's just you. I don't have it like all set up. You have to set it up yourself. All right, let's see where we're at. 2, 3, perfect, 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 perfect. So let's look at our iron. I have 1 here and 2 here. Okay, so.
They're gonna change that.
So how are we gonna do that?
Like putting the 2.
Put the 2 in front of here, right? When I put a 2 in front of my FE, now I have 2. Okay, so that looks good. Now my oxygen, I have 2 on one side and 3 on the other side. So what did we say? Anytime we have that 2, 3, what are we gonna have to try to get on each side?
So true, but oh no.
Remember 6? Because 3 times 2 is 6. So if most common number, the smallest common number would be 6. So I need to try to get 6 oxygen on each
So
side.
there's gonna be like times, right?
Mhm.
So it's gonna be 6, and right here gonna be.
Yeah. So here I already have 2 oxygen. What do I need to multiply that by so I can get 6? I have 2. What coefficient do I need to put so I'll end up with 6?
3.
3. Perfect. 3 times 2 gives me 6. Now I got to come over here and do the same thing. I have 3. I want 6. So what coefficient do I need to put so I'll end up with 6? 2, right? 2 times 3 gives me my 6. But now look, what did it change my iron to? 2 times 2?
2 times 2 is 4.
4. So
2
now I
times
have,
3 is 6.
perfect. So now I have 4 iron.
So it's gonna be 2 times.
Tight. So instead of a 2 now here, what do I need?
2 times.
I can erase that. Instead of a 2, I don't want just 2 iron. How many iron do I want?
No.
Remember we said now 2 times 2, I have 4.
No, that one.
You have
Right,
4
okay.
here. So now how many do I need here?
2. No, 4.
4. So I just changed that to a 4. And that happens sometimes. Sometimes you'll put a coefficient and then you have to come back and change it, and that's okay. But now see, I have 4 iron. 2 times 2, 4. Right? Oxygen, 3 times 2 is 6. And this oxygen, 2 times 3 is 6.
I think so.
You think so? Okay, try your next one. Perfect, perfect. Okay, so now we have that 2 and that 3. So what are we gonna have to try to get on each side? 6. So then I'll start on the easy side. What do I have to put there? Well, I want 6. I already have 2. So what do I need to put? So I'll end up with 6. 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And then I'm gonna go to this side. What do I need to multiply this by? 2. So I'm gonna put it here. 2 times 3 gave me my 6. But what did it change my iron to? 4. But that's no problem. I had put a 2 here, but now I know I don't need a 2. What do I need now? 4. And that's fine. Like you put that there, then you see later you need to change it, just erase it and change it. And then that one would be balanced. That one may be pretty similar to it. That's why you get. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Were you able to do that? A little bit harder to try it. Yeah. All right, so let's look at this one. As my virtual students may have heard, I've been telling people we may start with one coefficient and then decide that we need to change it, and that's fine. So I'm going to look at number 17. So I had 1, maybe. I had 1 and 2. And over here, I had 2 and 3. So I would just see that. I would start with my iron. I need 2. Over here, I only have 1. So obviously 1 times 2 would give me 2. So I'm going to put a coefficient of 2 here. And like we've done before, if I have that 2 and 3, the smallest number those will both go into would be 6. So I have to get 6 oxygen on each side. So on this side, my reactant side, I have 2. So 2 times 3 would give me 6. And then over here, right now, I have 3 oxygen. I need 6. So 2 times 3 would give me 6. But in that process, because I put this coefficient of 2 here, it changed my oxygen, but it also changed my iron. 2 times 2 is 4. But that's no problem. All I'm going to do is say, I don't need 2 iron on this side. I need 4. So I'll erase that and go and change that to 4. And now everything should be balanced. And that happens sometimes. You have something you think is correct, and then you have to go back and change it. Let's look at 19. I had 2 and 3. Over here, I had 1 and 2. So once again, I would just do my aluminum.
2 times.
2, right? So I'm going to put a 2 here. And this was, I keep forgetting to do
It's going to be 2 times 2 is 4.
So what am I going to need on my oxygen? How many do I have to try to get on each side?
4.
I got that 3 and that 2 again. So how many will I have? 6. So this is the easy one. I'm going to do it. 3 times 2 is 6. Over here, I have 3 oxygen. So what coefficient do I have to be 6? 2. So 2 times 3, change that to 6. But what did it change my aluminum to? 4. Just like that other one. No big deal. It changed it to 4. So all I need to do is, instead of a 2 here, what do I need? A 4. And that happens. You put sometimes 1 down, and it changes to something, and then you have to go back and change it to something else. Yadian, what do you think? No?
So it's balanced, right?
Now it's balanced.
I told you it was bad.
So Yadian, we're trying to get the same amount on each side. Like on the reactant side and then on the product side. See, like we need these numbers like that and that to be the same. And the only way that you can do that is by adding these coefficients. That's how you can't change, like you can't change the subscript or do something. It's just you have to do it with these to get that. All right, so we're going to move on to our other worksheet. I'm not going to worry about doing that challenge. So if you pull out your other worksheet, the ones y'all picked it up here. And for my virtual students, if you'll look in your Google Classroom, it's a daily work Tuesday 113. It's the same thing. Jesus, higher. Enough. It's the same thing that we were doing, except instead of me having like set it all up, y'all have to set it up. So put your line where your arrow is. And then list your elements. Here I have iron and oxygen. And over here, I would have the same thing. If I have them on the reactant side, I want to have them on the product side. And you want to put them in the same order. So the first thing that you do is you just put how many, just like we were doing. We put how many? Perfect. 1 and 2 and
3, 4.
And
4.
perfect.
So
All right.
it's going to be FE2.
So what? Let's see. Our F, not 2, but what? We don't want.
Four. No, wait.
We don't want to put a 2 there. What do we have 3, and over here we only have 1. So what code? 3.
How you get it? I don't get it.
Because see, I have 3 over here.
You gotta be to the right or what?
Well, whatever one is your largest, you've got to make your smaller number get to that larger one. So here I had 3, and over here I only had 1. So I've got to think, what can I do so I can have 3 on this side too? So 3 times 1 will make that 3.
Then, 6.
You're adding them. Don't think about adding them. Like you don't want to add this plus this.
That's the time.
At times, okay, well, look, I have 4 oxygen here, and I only have 2 here. What can I multiply? A 2, right, Jesus? 2 times 2 would give me 4. And then it would be balanced. Do you agree?
It's hard.
But it is, if the more practice we do, it gets a little bit easier.
Let's give people deep perspective.
Huh? Well, yeah, we're gonna work on that one for practice. Okay, let's try this one. 1 and 2, 1 and 1, right? So my strontium's already good, but and Jesus isn't really gonna be hard if you're trying to sleep. Sit up. My oxygen, I have 2 over here and only 1 on my product side. So what do I need to multiply that 1 by to get to 2? 2. So I got to put that 2 in front of that compound. It changed my oxygen to 2, but it also changed my strontium to 2, right? And that's usually how balancing works. So now I have 2 strontium over there and only 1 here. So what? Perfect. Put a 2 here, and then it gets balanced.
2, and then put 1 times 4.
Everything's done. 2, 2, 2, 2. And then once you put a 2 here and a 2 here, it is balanced. All right, I'm going to let y'all to work on those, and I'm going to come around and see who needs any help. Y'all skip number 4 for now. Skip number 4. It's really hard. Virtual students, if y'all can skip number 4, it's a hard one. We'll worry about that later on. So skip 4. All right, so we're going to finish up on this page. And for my virtual students, y'all have 2 things to turn in. The one that we started yesterday and then this one. Those will both be for grades.